Good day everyone and welcome back to the YourAverageGamer channel. In this video I'll be continuing on my weapon reviews for weapons that are underutilized in my opinion in Caldera. The weapon we're going to be looking at in this episode is another weapon that I don't think I've ever seen used before, the FN Scar. The Scar has actually been in Warzone ever since the very beginning, as it was one of the original Modern Warfare weapons. However, I don't think I've ever really seen it used, as it always struggled, particularly in Warzone, where the ranges are so enormous that a weapon like the Scar with high recoil doesn't really fit in. However, a couple of seasons ago, towards the end of Cold War, this weapon was actually buffed, and buffed quite significantly. This weapon now has a lot less recoil while still outputting huge amounts of damage. However, it does still have drawbacks, which mean that people don't use it. But when kitted out, I think this weapon, particularly in solos and duos, low player game modes, I think the Scar could be an absolute beamer. So to go on to the weapons, the base weapons stats. So without any attachments at all, it has a very slow fire rate of 571 rounds per minute. This is a lot slower. Say weapons like that I reviewed recently, such as the Fin, which had an enormous fire rate. This has almost half that. What this means is the weapon is a lot less forgiving, because if you miss your shot, it's a lot slower putting out the next shot for you to hit. So if you miss a shot, your time to kill goes through the floor. This weapon does, however, have a muzzle velocity of 850 meters per second, which is pretty close to the golden 1000 mark you normally aim for, and reasonably fast reload times between 2.5 and 3 seconds. The damage profile on this weapon is absolutely enormous. To the head, it deals 56 damage. What this means is, if you hit only headshots with the Scar, you could down a fully plated enemy in 6 rounds. This also applies to the neck, where you do 52 damage. To the middle of the torso, you do 38 damage. And to everywhere else, so lower torso / stomach, arms and legs, you do 35 damage. So you can see how much headshots really play into this. But still, 35 damage to the rest of the body is an enormous amount of damage. So these damage values are applicable within 31 meters. Outside of 31 meters, you'll deal 51 damage to the head, 48 to the neck, 35 to the upper chest, and 32 to everywhere else. This means you'll never really have to hit more than 7 or 8 bullets to down someone. Whilst the fire rate is slow, if you do manage to hit all of your shots, to the opponent it'll feel like they've been hit a couple of times and they're straight out of the game and back in the lobby. However, of course, you are limited with having to hit 7 or 8 shots to down someone by the magazine size. The base magazine on the Scar is 20 rounds. So if you were to down someone with, say it took 10 rounds to down someone because you missed a shot or two, and then you went to finish them and you use another 3 or 4 rounds, you're instantly almost out of bullets. If you were to miss more than a couple of shots, you're already out of rounds, basically. So that is the main limitation of the Scar, is its very, very low ammo count. It means that you'll just be constantly reloading. But as I said, for low player modes, where you'll only be engaging 1, maybe 2 players at a time, the FN Scar could be absolutely perfect. So for the attachments that I recommend for this weapon, and those that I'm using in this video, I'd first up recommend the monolithic suppressor. I recommend the monolithic suppressor on pretty much every weapon because of its ability to keep you off the minimap and stop you being third-partied, but on top of that, it also adds an extra 170 meters per second to the muzzle velocity, slightly reduces your vertical and horizontal kick at the cost of a tiny amount of ADS time, 30 milliseconds. For the barrel, I'm using the Forge Tac 20-inch LB. What this gives you is an enormous boost to your muzzle velocity, 484 milliseconds, Also, it will give you reduced kick, vertical and horizontal, at the cost of slower strafe speed, slower movement speed, higher amount of hip fire spread, though obviously you won't be hip firing often with this weapon, and 37 milliseconds of ADS time. The third attachment I'll be using is the VLK 3x optic. The reason for this is just so I can identify targets at long range. However, I chose this sight in particular as it does also reduce your vertical and horizontal recoil and has minimal ADS penalties of another 30 milliseconds. For my fourth attachment, I'll be using an underbarrel. I like to use the Commando foregrip. This does help reduce your vertical and horizontal kick even further. It also reduces your ADS time, surprisingly, by 21 milliseconds. It's not often that foregrips do this, but on the Commando, on the Scar, actually does do this. So it's very useful to have on there. But this is at the cost of some further movement speed decreases. And then the final attachment I'm going to be using is to try and combat that low 20-round magazine. Unfortunately, you only have two different mags, 25 and 30 round mags, which is why this weapon isn't more widely used in trio and quad based game modes. In the gameplay in the background, I'm actually using the 25 round magazine as I don't have the 30 unlocked, but I would definitely recommend using the 30 round mag for those 10 extra bullets at the cost of 15 milliseconds ADS. The end result with this weapon is you end up with an absolute beamer at long range with a muzzle velocity of over 1600 meters per second. This means you'll almost never have to lead your shots or even lead them by maybe the tiniest little bit. You've reduced the recoil by over 40%, so the weapon no longer kicks anywhere near as much as it used to, and you've also kept all the other benefits of this weapon. You've also pushed the range out to 46 meters, so you'll be putting out that huge up to 56 damage for a headshot all the way up to 46 meters. This gives the weapon an absolutely phenomenal time to kill of just over 600 milliseconds if you can hit good shots. I'll leave you to the gameplay in the background, as I'm conspicuously aware there's not a huge amount left of this game. Apologies, my recording did have a slight corruption issue, so this started with us part the way through the game with 6 kills. However, those kills were only gained with ground loot due to a hot drop. All the kills with the Scar are still included, and there is plenty more to come, believe me. This is a huge solo game, and I was very, very proud at the end, particularly having got it with the Scar. I've paired up the Scar, as you can see, with the Owen gun. The reason I chose the Owen gun is because it's probably the best SMG at the moment. Fabulous movement speed, lots of rounds in the mag, so if I've burnt through the rounds on my Scar, I can just switch to my Owen gun and I have plenty more rounds left. And also it does a hell of a lot of damage with the low time to kill up close. Anyway, I'll leave you to the gameplay. I will come back at the end to do my final review and let you know what I think of the Scar. I really hope you enjoy.
Repositioning. Recon online.
UAV beginning flyover.
Repositioning. Bounty contract identified.
UAV is out of fuel. Returning for resupply. New safe zone highlighted. Right on your tail.
Moving. Buy station identified. I'm not dead yet. Buy station identified.
Loadout drop headed your way.
We got recon online.
UAV beginning flight.
Moving.
Returning for resupply. Point deployment fueling up now. Time to wrap this up. Gas is closing in. Relocating the safe zone. Loadout drop headed your way.
Enemy marked.
Gas is closing in. Relocating the safe zone. You've made it to the top 10. Gas is right on your tail.
You're not dead yet.
Get to the new safe zone. Gas is closing in. Gas is inbound. Five remain. Stay sharp.
You need medical. Gas is closing in.
Into the new safe zone. Move it. Yeah, and one. Nice work.
So, as you can see, absolutely enormous gameplay there. 24 kill win in solos with the FN Scar and Owen gun combination. So what did I think of the Scar? Now, as you can probably tell, after a 24 kill game, I actually think the Scar is absolutely phenomenal. In solos and duos, where that 30 round mag won't hold you back too much, the Scar is an absolute demon. It might not have the accuracy of an M13 or a Kilo, so it'll take a little bit more skill to use. If you can keep those shots on target, it will absolutely decimate some of your opponents. I had some very funny death comms in that game alone, where when I beamed people, they were just like, what's he killed me with? And also a couple of cheating accusations because they think they've been hit with something like a DMR or an FN file. So yeah, this weapon can absolutely sit people down at almost any range, provided you have enough skill to control it. I have used this gun in quite a few other games as well, and I did continually have very good games and very much enjoy using this weapon. So I'd probably give this weapon maybe an 8 out of 10. It's not going to sit up top level with a lot of the very meta assault rifles and LMGs. It's nowhere near, say, well, before it was nerfed, the Bren, for example, where it's huge damage and a beamer at long range. But it is very, very strong with its obvious limitation of the magazine. I think I actually enjoyed this weapon more than I enjoyed using the Kilo, because the Kilo had very laser accurate but a slower time to kill. So I felt like the Scar was really rewarding me when I hit my shots. If you do get a chance to give this a go, I would very much recommend it. It is a hugely fun weapon to use, and I think it will surprise you too. Anyway, that's the end of this video. If you have enjoyed, please drop a like and please subscribe, as it does help to get this video put out there so I can get a few more views in and yeah, have more people enjoying my videos too. Anyway, if you have enjoyed, I really hope to see you on the next one.